I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain.
You've got this whole new filming technique going on that's organically developed. And then the story and the characters organically developed as well, didn't they? And it feels like collaboration was absolutely key to this film.
Yes. Yes,
I'm just
absolutely.
wondering what your thoughts on that were. Like even you were talking about the composing of it, that you wanted to give the composers creative freedom and, you know, giving actors the chance to sort of develop their characters more. And it just feels, and as well as the filming techniques, you know, so behind the camera, it just felt like, yeah, collaboration was absolutely, I mean, collaboration is crucial to any film, but it just felt like this film, you were doing so many new things and letting it all kind of just, you know, you had trust in it, didn't you? That it just sort of organically would grow and get to the right place, and I think it absolutely has done.
Yeah, well,
but yeah, but you know, you're sort of the eye of the storm, really, and the storm being the collaborators, you know.
Yeah. I mean, we were this was our technique was called. I mean, this is just something I made up. It's called a beautiful mess. So what happens at the beginning of each scene? Normally, like you've got a script and you've worked on it for 10 years, whatever. And I like that. I mean, going in with confidence of an amazing script is wonderful. But this was more like after the first take, every single time, I think, barring maybe one or something like that, first take would be, okay, everyone's lost confidence, including me, because we thought this might work, a certain technique, a certain approach to the scene, I mean. And then after the first take, it's like, whoa, there's just nothing there. And that's or it just doesn't work or whatever. And so that's the mess. It would always start off a mess. And then by about take 4 or 5, suddenly, like magic, something would appear. Just a moment where you go, oh, that's really interesting. And what I find fascinating, speaking to the actors even now, they tell me that, you know, for their other movies, they're always having to push towards a drama point that's been set in the scene. But this is more, they're finding it's coming from within them. So often they would show me a lot of options. They would improvise each scene, each take might have been 10 minutes, okay? But then out of that, there would be something, but it would have come from them by what they think the scene's about, you know? And then I would say to them, I invented this term. I don't think it has any meaning beyond my head, but it's I just said that's the drama point, whatever that means. But people seem to understand, okay, we're going to base, that's really cool, we're going to base the scene around that, and then we would build it there. So that was where the beauty, in the end, it becomes a beautiful mess. And but we kind of, this whole filming style is kind of attracting chaos, whereas normally the convention is you're so well planned with the movie that you minimize chaos as much as possible. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
I mean, you couldn't use this technique on another, like you said, that other film that you were going to make before lockdown happened. You know, you couldn't use this approach to that film. Do you know what I mean?
No, I tend to agree. Yeah, I think you could use it for others, but some of this I want to take forward, but maybe in the rehearsal period. But then you lock off the script.
Yeah.
So
Mike Leigh famously gets people to improvise in rehearsals and then create their characters, and then, you know, they create scenes through improvisation that he then sort of films. And I think there's you're not really doing that, but
no.
But I think there's a similarity really in that you're sort of allowing the characters to build upon their, you know, to use improvisation and to build on real life in that cinema verite technique you were talking about.
Yes. Yes. Well,
I think it's, what I'm saying is, I think it's kind of as an original approach as Mike Leigh. It's not the same as Mike Leigh's approach.
No.
It's as original as that, because you're kind of, you know, building you're improving the characters all the time, aren't you?
Well, we're workshopping it during the filming. That's the funny thing.
Sorry.
We're workshopping it, which is something you normally do even before rehearsal, like workshop a script and a story.
Yeah.
We're doing that during filming. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of what I meant, really. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, from what you've shared with me, I think we both seem to have a love of 1970s cinema. And it's interesting to note, this is something that even not all my cast realized. I sort of had to explain to them, there's not just one way to do drama. And before, it got to a point from about 1980 onwards that they wanted everything. That Hollywood had a saying, if it ain't on the page, it ain't on the stage, meaning every good movie is that great story exists in the script, and you just carry that out during filming. And sure, there might be the odd thing improvised or something might change, but that's there. But that wasn't always the way. And it's interesting that many people say, I mean, that's the golden age of Hollywood. Many people say it's the 70s cinema are their best movies, whether it's The Godfather, whether it's Deliverance, whether it's Apocalypse Now. And it's fascinating that many of these ones, Taxi Driver's another, were very improvisational, very free-flowing in many places. There was a different approach, and then suddenly, I personally think it got to the point where there was too much money involved, and film studios and producers didn't want the risk of going, well, what will the director do at that point? Just like I mentioned, like they didn't know how Francis Ford Coppola was going to end Apocalypse Now, which was a huge budget for that era, and he was off in 3 countries shooting in jungles and with madmen, geniuses, but madmen like Hopper and Brando, right? Dennis Hopper. And Coppola himself is pretty eccentric as well. So you just can't imagine them giving them that much freedom. So what it did, in a way, don't get me wrong, there's certain movies where you want an incredible script is going to get you, that's your main asset. And for certain films, like if you have a Hitchcock style movie, well, that's exactly what you want. But for many others, I believe this, so I'm not really doing anything new here, I don't believe, in many ways, but it's, my team and I are just, we're beginning that technique again, I feel, and it's really, the only one I can think of in the Hollywood system during that time, there might have been others, but the obvious one to me is Joker. In that one, they would sometimes film for several weeks, and then after that, just look at it and go, that didn't work, so let's create something new. And somehow the director and Joaquin Phoenix somehow had the freedom within a studio to do this.